to provide analysis of the legislative year just passed and to discuss the prospects in Sacramento in the presidential election year of 2008 are Maddy Institute Board Chairman Don Jackson and Political Science Professor from Cal State Fresno, Dave Schecter. Thanks, both of you, for joining us.
Thank you, Mark.
Don, I'd like to start with you. The governor called for post-partisan politics in January. Sacramento politics seem to be as partisan as ever. Has California simply become ungovernable?
Well, California is being governed. Maybe not well, but it's being governed. What's missing in Sacramento is a lack of statesmanship. No one's taking the long-term view. They're all looking for their next election. Fewer election, longer terms would be one solution. Probably won't happen. But for instance, giving Assemblymen a 4-year term, senators an 8-year term, maybe only one term for senators, everybody starts taking a long view and they don't have to spend so much time raising money. I think that has a great impact on how California is governed. What we need is an improvement in quality, and I'm not talking about the valley legislators because they've always worked together, they're cohesive, but across the state generally.
Professor Schecter?
Well, just to pick up on that statesmanship point, which I think is excellent that Don made, this is a leadership crisis. This isn't anything other than that, because what we have in the state right now, whether it be the budget problems or the deficits that you mentioned before, is these things were known way in advance, way ahead of time. I just brought some articles from LA Times, Sacramento Bee from last year, last November, saying that the crisis was coming, something needs to be done, but a lot of time was frittered away this year. There's no Gray Davis to blame anymore, and the people who are in office now need to really step up to the plate and make tough decisions, not be so ideologically rigid.
Well, let's talk about some of those tough decisions. Financing of health care reform and the water bond are most likely going to end up on a very crowded 2008 ballot. It sounds like we're going to have an initiative free-for-all in 2008. What's the likelihood that we're going to have workable solutions if that's the case?
Oh, I don't think you'll have workable solutions by then, because even the legislature is confused about what these ballot measures might look like, and then you'll have the voters even more confused, so the default vote for most of them will be no. They will be shot down. You will have the legislature be able to claim that they did something when in actuality they didn't, because I don't quite see why the voters have to make these decisions sometimes. The legislature should be making these decisions, both on what the shells of the program will look like and the financing underneath them. And the voters should not be responsible for learning about all these issues so quickly, and I think that's really a fraud.
Well, you know, I'd like to talk a little bit about something Dan Walters, a veteran Sacramento Observer, recently wrote. In fact, he wrote it this week. He said, "The state is in deep doo-doo. Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger and the legislature are running out of gimmicks, and they better get serious before it becomes a full-blown debacle." You know, the legislative analyst has said that, you know, we're out of easy solutions. So I want to ask you, Don, is this going to force the legislature to finally address the $8 billion budget deficit?
I don't think the legislature is going to be forced to do anything. They have managed as a group that when they put key issues on the table, like redistricting, tax reform, they never quite get to it, and that deals with the legislative leadership. I don't think that in this year the operating budget will be addressed. It will certainly be discussed. I think what saves the legislature and the governor is an economic turnaround, which doesn't look to be on our horizon. That'll be the next time that things will be better in California.
We just have a little time remaining, Professor Schecter. I want to ask you that same question. Is this really an opportunity to put our fiscal house in order? About 30 seconds.
I would think so. I just hope that the voters will step up and put pressure on the legislators as well to do something. I don't see why the Democrats can't work on some spending cut areas and setting some priorities better. I don't know why the Republicans can't follow Pete Wilson or Reagan's model and do some combination of tax cuts, tax increases and cuts in programs at the same time. We're at a period now where it's absolute crisis mode, so if you don't step up to the plate, it's trouble.
Well, thank you very much, both of you, for being here. If you'd like to learn more about public policy issues, please log on to our website at www.maddyinstitute.org. Thanks for joining us.